So in Mexico, which is the country just south of the United States, there was a civil war in the middle of the 1800s. Kind of like there was a civil war here, but they were fighting about different things. So in the Mexican Civil War, a lot of what they were fighting about had to do with if the government and the Catholic Church should be intermingled or if they should be separate. The Liberal Party thought that there should be separation of church and state, and that the Catholics should not, that the Catholic Church should not be intermingled with government, even though a lot of them were Catholic. And the Conservative Party thought that the Catholic Church and the Mexican government should be kind of one and the same, intermingled. And it turns out that civil wars are very, very expensive. So the Mexican government had spent a lot of their money dealing with this civil war unfolding. And then in 1862, right after the Civil War was kind of wrapping up, the Mexican government told some other countries that it owed money to that it wouldn't be able to pay that money anymore temporarily. They didn't say, we're not going to pay you back ever, but they did say, we're not going to be making those payments right now. One of those countries was France. And France decided that it would invade Mexico and try to take some Mexican property, Mexican land, as a result. So there was this French force that was coming onto what was Mexican property. And the French were better armed, they were better prepared, they had way more people in this this group of soldiers. But the Mexican people who were fighting, they were pretty sure that they wanted to not be ruled by the French. So on May 5th of 1862, General Ignacio Zaragoza takes a group of troops, but they're not well armed. Some of them literally just have kind of farming implements. And they do battle against this French troop, and they win, right? And it's surprising that they win because there's way more of the French, and they're not as well armed. But they were very motivated, and they had some tactical things in their favor as well. It turns out fighting on a hill makes things difficult. And so they end up winning. And it does turn out that the French take over for a few years and then eventually leave. But this was really important because, A, it was this moment of morale. It also was important because if the French had managed to get a piece of Mexico at that moment, the French probably would have been supporting the Confederacy. So even for United States history, this is kind of important because the alternate timeline, the butterfly effect timeline, is that it would have been really different in the Civil War in the United States if that French population had been supporting the Confederacy there. But they weren't. United States Civil War wraps up, and then the United States says, hey, France, we need you to leave Mexico. And they do. And that's where Cinco de Mayo comes from. It's the Battle of Puebla is this day that these, the Mexican people were able to fight off the French army. And then it was really kind of just a small celebration for a long time. People would do reenactments of the battle and have kind of big dances and parties. And then FDR, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, started pushing really hard that we had good relationship with Mexico. And part of that was some education in the United States surrounding Cinco de Mayo. And so we got more information in the U.S. Mexican Americans brought Cinco de Mayo celebrations to the United States with them. But then in the 1980s and 1990s, alcohol and beer companies in the United States started advertising because they didn't have a good holiday that required a lot of beer to be sold right around now. So they started selling Cinco de Mayo as that holiday, and not really talking about the history or kind of the revolutionary component, but talking about Mexican beer and alcohol called tequila. And that's what we see all the posters for and the signs for and stuff. But it's all tracks back to the Battle of Puebla.